The room is quiet, almost too quiet, except for the faint ticking of a clock somewhere in the background. In that silence lives a dream you once felt burning inside you, but now it waits, suffocating beneath the heavy promise of later. Every second that passes feels harmless, yet it slowly tightens around the future you once imagined. Most people never lose their future through one dramatic collapse. Instead, it slips away through small, quiet decisions, tiny 5-second moments where comfort wins over courage and hesitation replaces action. Those moments feel insignificant, but over time they quietly rewrite the story of a life. You remember the moment the idea first appeared. The spark was real, powerful enough to change everything. But before action could take shape, the mind stepped in with doubt, questions, and caution, and suddenly the opportunity dissolved like mist in the morning air. Somewhere deep inside, there exists another version of you. A version that moved faster, acted sooner, and refused to wait for permission. Today that version watches silently, mourning the person who chose delay instead of motion. Between regret and greatness lies an invisible threshold inside the brain. It is a fragile line, so thin you barely notice it, yet crossing it determines whether your life becomes a story of hesitation or a story of decisive action. The world's most resilient founders understand something most people never learn. They know how to intercept hesitation before it takes control, using a simple psychological bypass that shuts down doubt before doubt can shut them down. Because in the end, everything comes down to a tiny window of time. 5 seconds where you either step forward into the life you want, or watch it quietly drift further away while the clock continues to tick. We are biologically wired to avoid discomfort, and that simple truth turns the human brain into the most powerful obstacle standing between you and your goals. It is not the world holding you back most of the time, it is the silent survival system inside your own mind that prefers safety over growth. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment, waiting for inspiration to arrive like a sudden flash of lightning, but inspiration is unreliable. It appears when things feel exciting, and disappears the moment the work becomes difficult, repetitive, or uncertain. Think about the alarm clock ringing at 5 in the morning. In that instant, a quiet battle begins inside your mind. One voice reminds you of the life you said you wanted, while another voice whispers that comfort is easier, warmer, and safer. Over time, we become masters of a strange habit called productive procrastination. We answer emails, organize folders, plan strategies, and convince ourselves we are moving forward, while secretly avoiding the one task that truly matters. This constant avoidance slowly creates a deeper problem than missed opportunities. It creates a quiet shame that follows you throughout the day, a feeling that appears in the mirror when you realize you are capable of more than what you are currently doing. The truth is, you are not lazy. Laziness is rarely the real issue. What you are experiencing is a habit loop of overthinking, where every decision becomes trapped inside analysis until action feels impossible. To escape that cycle, we must first understand the deeper design of the human mind. Because the brain was never built to chase dreams, it was built to keep you safe, even if that safety quietly steals the life you were meant to live. Every moment of hesitation is not just a delay, it is a lesson your brain is learning. Each time you pause instead of act, you quietly train your mind to believe that fear deserves more trust than the goals you once promised yourself. Deep inside your brain lives a small but powerful system called the amygdala. Its job is survival, and it cannot tell the difference between real danger and the discomfort of difficult work. The moment a task feels challenging, it sends a signal that something is wrong. In milliseconds, that signal shuts down the part of your brain responsible for logic and long-term thinking. Your prefrontal cortex, the center of planning and discipline, becomes quieter, while the emotional brain takes control and pushes you towards safety. The cost of procrastination is rarely obvious in the beginning. It does not immediately take money from your bank account or remove opportunities from your life. Instead, it slowly erodes something even more important, your trust in yourself. While you spend time preparing, planning, and waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is already moving. They are failing faster, learning faster, and building momentum while you remain stuck in preparation. Potential becomes a heavy weight when it stays locked inside your mind, carrying the knowledge of what you could become, while watching days pass without action, creates a quiet pressure that grows stronger with time. The world rarely rewards the person with the most brilliant idea. It rewards the person who can close the gap between thinking and doing. If you cannot interrupt the hesitation loop, someday will slowly transform into never. There comes a moment in every life when the weight of staying the same becomes heavier than the effort required to change. It is a quiet realization that the comfort you once protected is now the very thing holding you back from the life you want. You begin to see through the illusion of perfectionism. What once looked like high standards reveals itself as something else entirely, a carefully constructed shield protecting you from the fear of being judged, criticized, or failing in front of others. Knowledge alone stops feeling powerful. Instead, it becomes frustrating. You know exactly what steps should be taken, yet somehow you watch yourself avoid them, repeating the same patterns while telling yourself tomorrow will be different. Slowly, the fantasy of your future self begins to collapse. The idea that tomorrow's version of you will suddenly become more motivated, more disciplined, more ready, starts to fade. You realize tomorrow will simply inherit the same habits you practice today. At the end of an unproductive day, the silence can feel overwhelming. No alarms, no arguments, no dramatic failure, just the quiet awareness that another day passed without movement toward the life you once imagined. The truth becomes impossible to ignore. You are not years away from change, and you are not waiting for a perfect opportunity. In reality, your life can shift with a single decision, yet that decision always seems just out of reach. To break through this moment, you do not need another strategy, another book, or another plan. What you need is something far more immediate, a simple physical interruption that forces your nervous system to move before hesitation returns. This is where everything changes. The 5-second rule is not a motivational phrase. It is a trigger, a mental starting pistol that forces your brain to move before hesitation has time to grow stronger. The moment you feel the instinct to act on something meaningful, you have a very small window. If you do not move within 5 seconds, your brain will step in with excuses, logic, and comfort designed to protect you from discomfort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. This simple countdown does something powerful inside the mind. It shifts control away from the emotional brain and hands it back to the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decisions and action. Counting backward interrupts the habit loop that normally traps you in overthinking. It creates a brief opening where doubt cannot fully form, allowing you to move before your mind builds a wall of resistance. The beauty of the rule lies in its simplicity. Complex people often search for complicated answers, but progress rarely begins with complexity. It begins with a small action taken at the right moment. This is not about forcing motivation or waiting for courage to appear. It is a neurological shortcut, a method that allows you to step into motion, even when you do not feel ready. In the end, the choice becomes simple. You either count down and launch yourself into action, or you stay where you are, watching opportunity move forward, while you remain standing on the platform. The real power of the rule appears in the small moments that shape your day. The moment you think about going to the gym, making the difficult phone call, or finally starting the project you have been delaying, that is where the countdown begins. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in friction. Every time you use the countdown and move before hesitation wins, you strengthen a new pathway in your brain that favors action over avoidance. Over time, the rule begins to reshape how you respond to challenges. Instead of negotiating with your excuses, you simply count down and move. Action becomes faster, cleaner, and less dependent on your mood. Even wealth building often begins with a simple 5-second decision. The moment you choose to open the financial numbers you have been avoiding, review your plans honestly, and face reality instead of postponing it. The same principle works in social situations. When anxiety tells you to stay silent, you count down and introduce yourself. Before your mind invents reasons to retreat, you have already stepped into the conversation. Gradually, you realize something powerful. The rule is not just about productivity. It becomes a bridge between the person you are today and the person you once promised you would become. Success rarely arrives through one massive leap. Instead, it grows from hundreds, even thousands, of tiny 5-second victories stacked on top of each other over time. True discipline is not the absence of struggle. It is the ability to master the small window where the struggle is decided. The moment between hesitation and action is where character is built, and where the direction of your life quietly changes. Your legacy will never be defined by the ideas you had or the plans you made. It will be defined by the moments you chose to begin, the seconds when you acted despite uncertainty and stepped forward before doubt could pull you back. Think about the last year of your life for a moment. Imagine where you would be right now if every meaningful idea had been followed by immediate action, if every opportunity had been met with a simple 5-second decision. Time continues to move whether you act or not. The clock does not slow down for hesitation, fatigue, or the search for the perfect moment. It simply keeps moving forward while your choices determine what you do with it. Every day you wake up with the same opportunity, a series of small moments where direction can change. Not through dramatic transformation, but through the quiet courage to begin before fear finishes speaking. If something in this message shifted your perspective, then let this be more than just another video you watched. Let it be a reminder of the agreement you make with yourself to stop waiting and start moving. Because your life will never begin someday in the future. It begins in the next 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move.